magic number. Yes, it is. It's the magic number.
What does it all mean?
Hello and welcome to Flintoff, Savage and the Ping Pong Guy. That's me, Matthew Syed, back with another set of meaty topics.
You're revved up today, Matthew, aren't you? And he got his voice on.
He's
He's got his voice back.
He's missed you.
Welcome back.
Missed you.
Sorry, Matthew.
More meaty
You've ruined the flow.
I've ruined your floor. Get back into it. Get back into
He's
it.
been in a shipping container for 3 weeks. He wants to speak to people.
You're not far off the truth.
First, we're going to discuss, should sport be about entertainment or just results? Then we're going to discuss breakthroughs in sports that inspired us. We're going to finish with our dreams and ambitions in the future. Remember, you can use the hashtag FredSavSide to suggest future topics. Before we get started, let's do what we always do, which is what we've been up to over the previous fortnight. Shipping container.
Andrew!
I have been in South Africa. And it sounds a lot better than what it is, to be honest.
You've come back looking like Rob Beckett's dad.
Rob Beckett's dad.
Look at your hair, look at it.
You're tan.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Rob Beckett, I think if you squash me, you'd end up with Rob Beckett.
Yeah, your hair, look at your hair. Wonderful.
Thank you very much, Rob.
All right.
It means a lot. No, I've been in South Africa shooting a show for Sky One.
A
called
biggie.
Carnage. It was a big one, yeah. It's about these cars people have built. I'm a cross between Mad Max and Robot Wars.
Wow.
It was massive.
3 weeks away, wasn't it?
Yeah, with me people. Lethal Bizzle,
You were rapping.
a rapper. What a lad he is.
What was he doing? Co-presenter?
Co-presenter. He's a rapper. Imagine Stormzy now.
Yeah.
Lethal Bizzle was Stormzy 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So he was like the godfather of grime.
You've heard that, Matthew, haven't you?
Yeah.
A clue what you're talking. I don't know.
What?
Well, you must have heard of Stormzy and Skepta and all these people.
Honestly,
Yeah.
no.
You've not heard of them?
I've not heard of that. These are two of the great contemporary rap artists.
Grime. Don't. Ooh, that's a can of worms. That don't be.
What's grime?
grime?
I don't know what grime
I'm not
is.
quite sure, to
Oh,
be
right,
honest.
All right.
So I'm doing this. A girl called Vicky Hope who presents on radio, but it was hard. It was in the desert. I slept in a cave for 2.5 weeks on a nature reserve. I've not seen people. My dressing room was a shipping container.
Was it really a shipping container?
It was a shipping container. That was my dressing room. The showbiz, all the glitz and glamour. I'm in a shipping container.
But was there not a huge production crew with you that you were
200.
interacting with? Wow.
200. A
200?
production of 200 people, 90 contestants. They built this place in the desert. It was amazing. It's on in May. It'll be good. But it was good. Do you know what I've done while I've been there? In my cave, I couldn't get Wi-Fi. But by reception, I could get Wi-Fi. Or just a hotspot. I got into Scrabble.
Really?
Scrabble. I've started playing Scrabble online against the computer and then against all comers. I play against anyone. I tell you what, lads.
What's your biggest word?
Firewood. 42. You will...
Triple word score.
Yeah, but you don't get it, Robbie Savage.
Firewood.
I know that you struggle spelling.
Firewood.
But the satisfaction of getting a 20-plus word on Scrabble is far better than taking 5 wickets for England. I'm telling you. I'm sat there and I'm looking at my letters and I get all excited. And then when they come back with a better note, I get down.
And you got the wrong flight home, huh?
I think I did, yeah. I had a bit of a shocker on the way home. I was tired. So I've got my ticket and I've gone to check in at Cape Town Airport. Mm-hmm. So I've gone through, I've gone in the lounge, I've sat down, I'm thinking, what time's my flight? So I don't know why. I said, where's gate A3? Thinking I'm on gate A3. So they said, we'll take you down. So someone's taking me down, escorted me onto the plane, very nice, in Cape Town. I've sat on the plane, I've got in my seat. I put my bed down.
Pardon?
Yeah, Sky, innit? Business class. Not
You put your
not
bed
BBC,
down.
Is it?
You put your bed... You're hammering Arsenal players are flying up and down the country and you're putting your bed down.
I worked hard, not like them Arsenal players. I saw them against Brighton. Don't even start me. Don't even start me off. Arsene Wenger. Do you know what Arsene Wenger's like? You know when you go out with a group of lads and one of your mates has had too much to drink and you're saying, go home, Arsene, go home. And he's going, no, I'm all right, I'm going to stick around. No, you're not, Arsene, go home. Just leave.
Got to agree with that.
So anyway, I got on the flight and I was so tired. It's an 11-hour flight. And I woke up after 10.5 hours, slept all the way through. And the announcement says, if you look to your right, you can see the Eiffel Tower. I'm thinking, that's not in Amsterdam. I'm meant to be going home through Amsterdam.
Because you went from Schiphol, didn't you?
Yeah, but I'm meant to go home through Schiphol in Amsterdam. So I got confused. So then I got off at Paris. I'm thinking, how have I ended up in Paris? So I've had to go to the desk and say, can I get a flight to Manchester? Because I'm not sure I'm meant to be here. They were very helpful and I got home. But I think I got on the wrong flight.
And did they say that you'd got onto the wrong flight when you said you knew?
He said, "Do you know who I am?" He said, "Do you know who I am?"
Well, I was speaking French and they weren't understanding my French. Je ne comprends pas.
When does the big show air?
It's in May. It's in May. But it's been an interesting few weeks.
Sounds amazing.
Robbie Savage, what have you done?
Oh, Andrew, missed you. Been in the gym every day with Stanley. Done a few commentaries.
It's been good. It's been good, the commentary.
Got a bit of a stick the other night.
Why?
Well,
I thought you were getting better.
so did I. My name now, every time I do a commentary, I've changed my surname to Robbie Trending. I've done a commentary, Spurs against Rochdale.
Yep.
VAR, it was a shambles. I'm not going to talk about VAR now, but there was one.
Is that the goal thing?
Yeah.
So video assistant referee
yeah.
it was a shambles. Anyway, so there was one point where, because of my accent, so Spurs have signed a player called Lucas Moura. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, I saw this trending.
Yeah. So
Moura?
Lucas Moura, Moura, from PSG, fantastic player, and I know who it is, Lucas Moura.
Mora.
But if I'm on commentary, so Paul Dempsey be commentating, Lucas
Paul
Moura.
Dempsey, he's still about, is he?
Yeah, the good Dempo's good, legend, boxing.
I saw him on Channel 5
Yeah.
Saturday on boxing.
Yeah. So anyway,
He used to sort his hair out, though. Have you seen his hair?
I think it's well.
Have you seen his hair? Have you seen?
You're asking me and Robbie.
What have you seen how he
Oh,
does his
hang
hair?
on. Have
He's
you
got
looked at yours
He's
recently?
got like a little fringe at the front. And he's got like a spike. It's like he's... I'm not going to say what I was going to say. I think it was fraught with danger, but Dempo, sort it out, the barnet lad.
So I'm in commentary.
Shocking.
When I speak quick, in my accent, I say, and Lucas Moura, see, all of a sudden,
Rob,
Lucas
this isn't
Moura.
That's not
Moira?
That's not an accent thing. You could easily say
I can.
Mora at speed with Mora.
Go on, say Mora.
Go on, try it.
Moura.
There you go, you've done it.
And now build
Everyone thought Moira Stewart were playing. Everyone thought the newsreaders running down the wing. It's
So
Moira Stewart crossing him in.
Did you not know that? Be honest. Did you not know that? I mean,
I
to be
knew his
honest,
name was Lucas Moura.
You know
Of
who
course
he
I
is.
do.
You know his. Oh, you
Yes,
did know that.
Of course I do. But my accent, when
You
I'm
just
in
choose not to use the correct name.
No, I didn't. I was saying
you're
Lucas
freestyling.
Moura. So I'm
making
commentating
it
now.
up?
On the right hand side, Lucas Moura gets the ball. C.
And he passes to Harry Canny.
Say on the right hand side, Lucas Mora gets the ball.
On the right hand side, Lucas Moura gets. I can't say it.
Oh, I see.
Lucas
See what I mean? I can't say
Lucas
it.
Moura passes to Harry Canny. And Dully.
So I've got off air.
You can't make them up, Rob. That's the name.
I had 100
You can't make names up.
I had
Robbie
100
Savage.
I had 100 pictures of Moira Stewart, same as Moira Stewart. And people saying I didn't know the laws of the game.
Oh, what have you done
So
now?
Son's penalty.
Yeah.
So listen, this is fair point.
Is that his real
fair
name?
Point. Son, yeah, he's a fantastic player. Son, fantastic player. He's brilliant.
I don't know these
One
names,
of the
Rob.
most,
You just
yeah,
make it up.
one of the most underrated players in
He's
the
a
Premier League.
brilliant
Player. So the referee awards a penalty from VAR, right? And it was a correct decision. So then Son starts running, stops.
You can't do that.
You don't know that.
You can't stop when you take a penalty. You can
So
shimmy,
you knew
you can
that?
shimmy, you can fit. You can't stop.
You knew that,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah, I think
Basics.
most people know. You're not allowed
I
to
didn't
actually
know.
I was
stop the
penalty taker for Ribbleston High School.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Penalty taker.
What was your conversion rate?
I never missed.
What did you take?
Two.
So
One of them was scuffed.
So I've said in commentary, because we've got Chris Foy, the referee there,
Yep.
who's brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant to have a referee to analyse the game. So I've gone in commentary. I've seen the referee, I think it was Mr. T, and he blew his whistle.
Mr. T, what are you talking about, fool?
He's been away. Can you tell he's been away? He's not spoke to anybody for 3 weeks.
Mr. T, how does he run round with all his medallions on? I'm not getting no penalty, fool.
He's been away. Look, he's missed us, hasn't he? You can tell. He hadn't stopped talking.
It was the linesman Hannibal. yeah. Fourth official was Face. Murdoch holding them.
So anyway, let me finish, Matthew, before he rudely interrupts again. So I didn't know the laws of the game. I'll be honest with you, but I do know lots of. So people expect
You
me.
do know lots of things.
No, people
Write it on a
expect me. But listen, people know. Why are you being horrible?
Go right on the back of a stamp.
Why are you being horrible? Again, you've been away for 3 weeks. Why has he been horrible, Tom?
No, I've not
You are.
seen anyone for weeks.
I know, but they pick on me. Right, anyway. So, I'm honest enough to admit, in this industry, I'm still learning. I'm still learning.
Who was the lead commentator on the Met?
Paul Dempsey.
And did he know what the rules
No,
were?
I don't know. We didn't get to that point because I said, it's been disallowed. Why? Let's bring in Chris Foy. So then Chris Foy come in and said, you're not allowed
We come on his
to
bike.
stop. Just fly, Andrew.
I don't know. You make them up.
So, am I,
sweating.
Matthew,
We're only 5 minutes in.
in commentary, I wasn't a referee. You know, I was a football player who's trying to read the game, right? I'm trying to read the game and try and give tactical analogies or whatever as a co-commentator. But I know most of the laws of the game. And I'm honest enough to admit I did not know that rule. Yeah. I didn't know it. If you stop...
When you brought Foy in, he obviously...
He said, he's booked Son for unsportsmanlike conduct. Is that unsportsmanship?
Yeah.
Because you're not at a stop. He's booked Son, and it's an indirect free kick. But I didn't know that, so I learned something on that night, like I'm sure lots of people watching the game did.
But why were you getting criticised?
Because people said I didn't know the laws of the game, and I thought Moira Stewart was playing. I thought I had a good game.
It's not just you, though, Rob, is it? I look at Twitter when I'm watching a football match late at night, and always the co-commentator, whether it's you or Hoddle or Gary Neville, trend.
Yeah.
And I think it must be
I
quite
think,
difficult.
do you know Glenn Hoddle? I think he should speak up a bit. Or they should turn his mic up a bit.
He's quite softly spoken.
Yeah, I can't hear it sometimes. I'm not a big watcher, but I've heard Glenn Hoddle, and I want to listen to Glenn Hoddle because he's a legend.
He's a legend, yeah. So you know when people
he needs to turn him up a bit.
Yeah.
So when have I told this on the podcast before? So when you're trending, people are horrible.
Well.
Yeah, I take it well. People are horrible. I might have said this on a podcast before, and if I have, people write nasty things, don't they? Really nasty things. And one of the things I got that somebody tweeted, I'm not sure who it was a betting company or whoever it was who try and make funny analogies, and somebody said, if I was on a desert island with Robbie Savage and a pack of hobnobs, I'd eat Robbie Savage and talk the hobnobs.
That is quite good.
And mate, you're getting this, and I'm trying my best, and I just get an answer.
I think the pressure must be quite extreme. If you know that whatever you say on air, you're gonna end up trending.
But the strange thing is, I did a little bit of cricket commentary last year on the T20 big,
I remember,
whatever it's called, Blast.
Yeah.
And I don't get too much abuse on Twitter, but as soon as I started commentating, all of a sudden just opened the floodgates up. Damn it, doesn't it?
I seen that,
and I don't even know who's playing. I don't know the players. I do make it up.
Before we come on,
why do you think that is? Because when you look at the feedback on the podcast, people are very generous. They're quite positive.
You get some praise as well, but I've been lucky because I think because I've not been involved in football and that, I don't tend to get much stick. But when I started doing cricket commentary, everyone's got an opinion.
See, this is great as well because I'm glad he said that, because I seen the Eddie Jones abuse from the Scottish fans.
Oh yeah, so he came. What is it, into Manchester Station?
I don't know where he was. We was getting in the car, and there was a few Scottish fans with cans of beer, hammering him, swearing him, and it was horrible. And I was thinking about this, that because Freddie is well liked and people love him, heartthrob, all that, love him. Heartthrob. He doesn't get, when we're out together, I've never seen one person say anything derogatory to Freddie.
You are very popular.
That's what I'm. Listen, we are saying this. It's true, but maybe that's because he played cricket. Football's tribal, but saying that, rugby is rugby tribal in the Six Nations.
Nothing like
so football. So I'm saying every time I'm on 606 on the weekend on BT Sport, I'll get the train home, and it's petrifying. I've had grown men come over to me.
You'll be on with the fans, won't you?
Yeah,
the fans will be coming
so
on
I'm
at
looking.
that time.
I look on a Saturday night, which teams from the North or Midlands have played away in London, and I'm dreading getting that last train home, or the 8:20 or the 9 o'clock.
That's why Thierry Henry gets a jet.
See, I can understand it.
It sounds really flash.
I can understand it.
When I found out, I thought, you're flashing it. I know you're an ex-Arsenal player, but you don't need a plane, lad.
You've got grown...
You just get hammered on a train.
But do you know, on the Eddie Jones
it's horrible.
thing, there are two things that struck me about it. One was that he actually took the time to pose for photographs with the fans, and then they turned on him, and they started to be... The other thing, though, was that the fans were definitely drunk. Do you ever find that people come up to you sober and are prepared to abuse you to your face? Because I don't think the people who come after me on Twitter would do it if they weren't face to face.
It's intimidating. You have to play along with it. I've sat there in carriages, and at the weekend, you go first class. Yeah, but set up 20 quid upgrade.
Yeah.
20 quid.
You don't justify going first class. It's fine.
You sit there, Matthew, and I swear you
deserve it.
You are in total disguise. I can't wear sunglasses in the dark and a hat and a scarf, right? You try and cover as much as you can, but as soon as one person recognises you, they're on you. They are hammering you. They were swearing at you. Yeah. They are trying to sit on you
Rob,
and kiss you.
I'll be honest with you. You're hardly the master of disguise, are you? You're not the Pink Panther. Right? Hey, some of the things, come on. You stick an hat on and a pair of glasses, people look at you more. They think, look at this knobhead here with glasses. It's raining. Why has he got sunglasses on? And then they look at you and they go, oh, it's Robbie Savage. That's a real nose.
You've missed me, haven't you? You've missed me, haven't you?
Oh, Rob,
Seriously. But Matt,
I see your brain working.
I'm trying to be sensible here.
But you know,
it's horrible, Matthew.
Yeah,
it's horrible because you have to play along with them. You have to,
listen to him.
You have to say, ha, yeah. And all the C words, the F words,
they'll
the
say that
W
to your
words.
But are they
Of course
sober? They'll just come over.
You're this, you're that. And then you have to, yeah.
Wow.
And honestly, if you don't play along with it,
We had that one
will
outside.
smack you.
Was it outside the radio awards? Who tried to grab you?
When was that?
Someone tried to grab you. No, I tell you where it was. It was in Ibiza.
Was it?
You having a picture and you had your disguise on as well. I don't know how they recognised you. You had your hat and your glasses on, and someone said something, and then he tried.
Yes, they did it when we get in the taxi.
They tried to grab you.
When we get in the taxi.
I told
And I
you,
had to grab him.
you didn't even notice it, but when we were out the first time in London, a guy came over, he was drunk, we're in a bar, and he grabbed you by the lapel and he started saying stuff. Very,
horrible.
very nice. But you smiled, you
have to,
laughed,
you have to.
and then you just said to me, you didn't do it in a way that would have felt to him like a snub, but we just moved to a different part of the bar. That must be a night. You don't get that, do you?
Every now and then. I tell you, when I got it worse was in the World Cup in 2007 when I got done on the pedalo. I had to do a press conference about a pedalo. Well, man, they put you in for some things. And as I walked into the room, there was a corridor of England fans lining it, the Barmy Army, right?
Uh-huh.
Bearing in mind, these lads start drinking at 9 o'clock in the morning and finish at midnight every day. And I'm walking through, and they're all tutting. Oh, right, tutting. So I'm there. Hang on a minute, lads. Are you really? You're tutting at me. You're shaking your heads. How can you judge me? What is going on here?
That's the worst you've had.
Yeah, it was tricky. I once got hit on the head by a rolled up newspaper as well.
Yeah.
I was batting at Lords against the West Indies, and there was about 5 balls left before lunch, and you meant to just block out. So I walked out to bat. I don't know how I did it. The first ball from the spinner, he lobbed it up and hit him over his head for 6. And I thought, hang on a minute, don't do that again. So the next ball, I should have hit him for 6 again, but just defended it and got caught at short leg. And I walked off. I'm coming through the long room at Wards, and I took my helmet off. I got hit on the head with a rolled-up Times newspaper. And he goes, it was fun while it lasted, Flintoff. Right?
Well, one of the members.
Yeah, so I've turned round and I pulled back my fists. And I could just see this old fella just scurrying off through the toilet.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh. Anyway,
Roberto, do you think that level of hostility and the vilification you get, do you think it's an indication of football, or do you think it's partly an indication of what it is to be a celebrity, to be recognisable, or a combination of both?
A combination of both. And because I was a bit of a pantomime.
Why not react against it? Why not say this? Because you worry that you'll get into a confrontation, it'll escalate.
Yeah, get hammered. Yeah,
I'm not worried about myself. I'm more worried about the kids.
Yeah.
One of my kids had at school have a go at him about that programme with the Cannonball.
Yeah, really?
Yeah, pushed him and said, "Oh, tell your dad that show Cannonball."
No way.
And then
your son did?
Yeah, so I said to him, I said, "Look, I'll come in and pull this lad's ears off." Yeah. And then, of course, he said, "No, Dad, leave it." I'd imagine, like, with your boys, when you were the family and that.
Yeah, it's horrible. Do you think it's acceptable that, listen, we're all normal people in here, right? We all get on well. Do you think it's acceptable that somebody who was a pantomime villain, did I bring it upon myself the way I played on the football pitch? That was because I was a winner. So in my career,
do you know what? You keep saying pantomime villain.
On the pitch, but
on
on the pitch, Fred. So on the pitch, fine. Off the pitch, I've been spat at. I've been punched. I've had fireworks shot at my house. Yeah. So fireworks night last 2 years ago, a guy with a drain pipe on his shoulder firing rockets at my house, right? Smashing against the windows. I've had
what?
Yeah, true.
With a drain pipe?
Well, you know a tube, it was firing rockets at my house. They were exploding my windows.
Well, that's a criminal.
A rocket launcher.
Yes, but so anyway, I've had men turn up my house with balaclavas. I've had windows smashed.
Cold.
What? Cold. I've had all this.
You've had that?
Yeah, I've had all this. But do I deserve that? Do I deserve that?
Of course you don't deserve it.
Because people see me play football.
I got shot on the boundary in India.
You know what?
I got shot.
I
was fielding in India on the boundary in a one-day game, and then I felt this. Oh, what was that? And then again. Someone was taking pot shots at me with an air rifle.
Shut up.
I got shot about 4 times. I had to come in and tell the umpire had been shot.
You got shot?
Yeah. Just taking pot shots at me in my back. I had to come in and tell the umpire
What
I'd been
with?
shot. An air rifle.
Pellets?
Yeah, like an air pistol.
You've got to be
You got
kidding.
shot?
Shot.
Shut up.
I promise you. I promise. I'm not going to make it up, am I? 'Cause
I mean, did it leave a
I
mark?
picked it up. I picked the little things up off the floor, the little air pellets, and give them to the umpire. So I'm not going
You
back
got
out there.
shot.
I got shot 4 times on the boundary.
What did the umpire say?
He was confused. He was confused. Got shot.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, he has to bet me, didn't he?
Bet-
Topper.
Topper, you've said you've had a rocket launcher at your house.
No,
What's next? A Sherman tank?
It was a drain pipe with a rocket in.
It's worse than a pellet gun.
Wow. This is what happens.
Come on, Matthew, what have you been doing?
Yeah, right, that's what we've been doing.
Remember a few weeks ago I said that I had a speech to
Bill Clinton?
to a big
Yes.
Patient safety conference, and former President Bill Clinton. I was a warm-up act, basically. You're speaking
don't
directly
do
after
yourself
me in
down.
London.
But you've done it with
Obviously,
it.
I did it on Saturday, and I've got to tell you, we talked about nerves before doing a big speech. I talked about the vocal exercises I went through. But presidential security beforehand. There were ministers from around the world, and it was quite an intimate arena, so you could see the whites of the eyes in the front row. And I went out and did my vote. Every time I do the vocal exercise now, I think of you two, taking the big out of me. But it actually went all right.
Oh, it's all right.
It went well.
Right. Don't talk it down.
Did
you see him?
Clinton, what do you mean, did I see him? Yeah, we shook
Chatted.
hands, had a photo, we talked a bit about patient safety. He came on after me, and I've got to tell you.
Did you ask him?
I didn't
What was
ask
she doing under the desk? Did you ask him? That's the only
I
question you want to
thought about
know.
it. I thought about it.
Did you not ask him? Well, I mean, that Matthew. Oh, black box thinking.
The producer's shaking his head. He's got his hand in his head.
So go on.
So yeah, it was amazing. It was amazing. And then he got up and gave a speech, totally off the cuff.
You didn't ask him?
notes. Didn't ask him. And I've got to tell you,
What was it about?
it was all over the place. He talked about the
It wasn't
Oval
good.
Office. It was brilliant.
Was
He
it?
talked about how NASA had got this
Hussein?
ancient piece of.
Sorry.
He's been bored.
I know.
He's been bored.
They'd got this
could've told you.
rock that was hundreds of millions of years old from the moon. And he asked if he could borrow it for his time when he was president of the United States. And he put it on the table. You know, in the Oval Office, they've got these two settees that
not
face
really,
each
no.
other across the table. And if you'd meet leaders from across the world, they would sit opposite him and they'd be negotiating and debating. And if they got to an impasse where they couldn't agree, he would point to that rock and say, look, that rock is 350 million years old. It's still going to be here when we've gone. We're getting into this incredible level of animosity. Let's just reach a deal. And he said that pointing to that got them to the solution. And he said, when you realise that you're actually quite small, it helps you to think in a larger way. I'll tell you the other thing that struck me is the level of political power he had. He was talking about the Cold War, about hostilities with North Korea. You know, when you're the president, if Donald Trump now has the nuclear button, you've got so much scope to do things. And, you know, I've probably told you before, in my teenage years, I always thought I'd get into politics because you want to make a difference. You want to do something. Yeah. And listening to him, it sort of recharged that ambition. But the thing is,
What did you talk about?
I was talking about black box thinking.
Did you?
Yeah.
Did he say that was good, Matthew?
Yeah, he was.
Did he listen to you?
He was wicked.
Did he listen to you?
Has he read it, though?
No. And tell me if you think this would have been a smart thing to do or a really tasteless thing to do. When we met and had our photo and chatted, somebody said to me, you should give him a copy of your book and hold it up for the photographer.
Did you do it?
No. Would you have done?
I would have, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Would you?
Yeah, definitely.
What, like a DVD of A League of Their Own? Or...
Rin and bank it, Matthew.
Yeah.
You're never going to see him again.
It's true. It's true.
Wow.
Topic number one.
Amazing, that.
How do I pronounce the name? How do I pronounce it?
Who?
Don't ask Robbie.
Hey, by the way, I've got to tell you, just on the previous week, I did a programme
Leave that in.
with Liam Rossignol.
Rossinoir?
Rossinoir. The son, yeah.
He's a nice
Matthew.
bloke, isn't he?
Matthew.
Yeah.
So Matthew,
Hang
we've got to recalculate if we do another series if it's Flintoff, Savage, and the ping pong guy. I'm seeing now Matthew on TV shows, on the debate on Sky, and a guest on an ex-footballer's podcast.
What?
No, that's not.
Whoa. I know you've been doing the debates. I
How
know
did you
that. Mate, nothing gets past this.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I've also noticed that you're going on other people's podcasts.
I haven't been on anyone's podcast.
I saw your acceptance on Twitter.
Yeah. Well,
I saw it.
Joey Barton,
Yeah.
old mate.
Yeah.
So he wanted me to go on his podcast.
Yeah.
We shouldn't be promoting him on here, should we? Or
Yeah,
shall I
fine,
try and
of
explain
It don't
why?
matter if you're going on it. It's not going to get top 10. Joey doesn't know that we sent him in to bring you down. They can have you next week, Rob.
Yeah, not so funny now, is it?
We're going into top 40.
Oh, man.
So you're going on it? It's a good podcast.
Well,
actually.
I mean, if you two don't think it's a good, but we had it's a long story, but we had a very good mutual friend, Peter Kay, not the comedian, the guy who died, Sporting Chance guy. Do you know him? No. He ran Sporting Chance, which helps
Tony
athletes
Adams.
with Tony Adams. And Peter Kay was just a really good friend. He lived in Petersham. I met him through Joe, and we're going to talk about mentoring. And he passed away. He was sexually abused as a child, never really got over it, wanted to use his experience to help other people, became an alcoholic. And I just thought it'd be a good thing to
We can't say no now, can we?
Anyway, up to you if you want to
Go and do it.
Mike.
Go and do it.
Do you think?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, why not? Yeah.
We're not precious.
Okay. Claude Puel. What's it called? Puel. Puel.
I bet he says it right on Joey's podcast. Don't be saving good stuff for Joey. Yeah, I bet on Joey's podcast, he'll tell the Clinton story in full.
Yeah.
He's saving it. He don't want to use his material.
I would like to have heard that Clinton story in full.
Well,
really would have.
Next
Well, listen to Joey's podcast next week.
Yeah.
Topic number 1. Claude Puel was sacked at Southampton last season for finishing 8th and got to the final, but the fans said it was boring football. West Bromwich Albion sacked Tony Pulis as they didn't like his style. Chelsea yesterday parked the bus. Mourinho's side sometimes do that. Boycott was known as a boring cricketer. So the question Rob's asking this week is sport about winning only, or is it also about entertainment? Is it about beauty?
Well, this is such a topical debate at the minute with Chelsea going to the Etihad.
Yep.
Playing 5-4-1, hardly.
I didn't see it. Was it a bad game?
It was a bad game from Chelsea's perspective. Although, saying that, if they'd come away with a point, I think Everton are the only other team that's come away from the Etihad with a point. You would have said tactical masterclass from Conte, coming away with a draw. Didn't have a shot in the first half, Chelsea.
Didn't have a shot?
That's the first time I think it's happened. So that was on that game. And Chelsea won the Premier League last season.
Yep.
But this is stemmed from the 606 show I do, when football fans who pay their money, who want to be entertained. And I'm getting callers now, Southampton fans. Southampton are fourth bottom. And they're saying, right, they're Claude Puel as manager the year before, Fred, right? Southampton Football Club finished 8th and got to the League Cup final. Yet, on the show, 606, people saying, well, he's got to go because it's boring. We're not being
I'll be honest with you, Rob. I know nothing about Claude Puel.
He was the manager of Southampton. Now he's manager of Leicester City.
What was so bad about where they played?
I have no idea. I'm not a Southampton fan, but this got me thinking that football fans, because they pay their money and because they support their football club, they should be entertained. But there surely comes a line where that Premier League survival and staying in the Premier League, playing against the City, the Liverpool's, United, surely winning should come for me before entertainment. If you can get the both, that is, look at Man City.
Yep.
Everybody, Man City, have got entertaining football. They're winning. It's the perfect mix, like Barcelona. But these are the teams who've got probably the biggest budgets, who spend the most money. So I understand that. But
do you think that
West Brom, Tony Pulis, they went in the bottom 3 when Tony Pulis was manager. Never got relegated as a manager from the Premier League. Yet, on the show, West Brom fans saying, still, it's boring, we want to be entertained. They brought in Alan Pardew, the bottom of the league, they got 20 points, 1 win, I think, in 13 games, and looks like to me they're going to go down because some of the fans are saying, we'd rather get relegated and be entertained than stay in the Premier League.
Do you know what? I don't know, but rather than being in the bottom and playing rubbish and boring and nobody wants to watch it, would you not sooner be at the top of the championship trying to win something?
That's a great debate. That's a fantastic debate.
I don't know because most fans want to see their teams playing against the best in the world, and you don't get that if you're not in the Premier League.
But at least you're winning.
Yeah. That's
And then the way the pay structure is, which I understand it, you get a payment for coming down, you get a payment for going back up.
Your parachute payments.
Yeah.
So
on Southampton, though, the argument is that when they finished 8th, they finished 8th with 46 points. And the previous 2 or 3 seasons, they had more points. But I'm saying, Southampton Football Club finished 8th in the Premier League and got to a League Cup final. Then the manager goes. Then they bring in another guy. They're now 4 from bottom, and they could get relegated. So surely for me, winning, and as a player, I want to put this to you, as a player, and you, Matthew, as a player, if I'm not playing for a Manchester City, there's one of the top 6 where they can entertain against the weaker sides in the Premier League. Although what we're seeing now, it's becoming defence v attack, because the weaker teams in the Premier League are sitting back thinking we're not going to get embarrassed here. Like 5-4-1, one centre forward, he drops in. At times it's 2 banks of 5. So you've got to break them down. And as a player who's playing for a lesser side, am I going to go out and
let me just. So that goes against my point again: is would you then sooner not watch your team in the Championship, attacking and going up players and entertaining rather than just all sat back and
as a player, I'm playing for Blackburn Rovers in the Premier League. Yeah. We're playing against now.
We use a decent team.
Yeah, we were, but we went the first season. We were near the bottom. So would Mark Hughes say to us? I'm bringing Mark Hughes up again because he was my manager at Blackburn. Yep. Right, Robbie and lads in the dressing room. You're 5th bottom here. We're playing against Arsenal. Yeah. Who were probably the best team there then, or Manchester United. I tell you what I want to do today, lads. Go out there and entertain the fans. Do you think he'd say that? No. So he would say, right, lads, first 20 minutes, really important here. Make sure you get your distances right between the lines. Stay in your positions. Don't go chasing in on your own. Make sure you go in numbers. When the set traps, when the time's to press, go and press. And if you nick one on the counter-attack, brilliant. Yeah. If we were in the top 6, he'd say, right, lads, go out there and entertain. Surely, as a professional player...
But would he say that? I don't think a manager of a top 6 side
says
go out and entertain. They go out to win. The reason that Guardiola...
I don't know if they are going out. They're not going out to win, some of them. That's that.
But when you've got Manchester City, I think you're setting up a false dichotomy in a way, because the reason Manchester City play beautiful attacking football is not because they think they're going to get points for artistic impression. It's because Guardiola passionately believes that is the way to win football matches. And the reason it's the way to win
Manchester City, though.
I'm going to come to that. The reason he thinks it's the way to win football matches is because he did it with Barcelona, one of the greatest football teams of all time.
Could Pep Guardiola do that with West Brom?
I'm going to get to that. But I don't think it's right to say that there's some kind of contrast between entertainment and beauty. Between beauty and results. If you play beautiful football, you can get great results unless you're up against a team that is of a significantly higher quality. And as a neutral, if I was to see a low-ranked team trying to pass their way through Manchester City and get beat 10-0, that would be boring. I think there is a beauty about a team sitting back, being defensive. Think about when Chelsea played Barcelona in the Champions League. That was incredible. It's epic.
From you, Matthew, Syed, you was a defensive table tennis player. Exactly. So that's a completely different mindset to where, I'm not saying it's wrong, but to where I'd look at it.
Right. You would never have been able to play like me because you had to go away from the table. You sliced. But there was a wonderful contrast when I came up against an out-and-out attacker, because you saw these 2 completely different philosophies, these 2 different ways of conceptualising the game, and there's something amazing about that. I think.
But surely, if you're playing against Man City at the minute, right? Man City, 18 points. Are they 18 points or something?
A lot of points.
Points clear. They're going to win the league. It's fine. So if you're turning up to play against Man City, like Chelsea did on the weekend and the lesser teams, why sit behind the ball? Why sit behind? Why not say, you know what? These lads are going to win the league. They're 15 points clear. They're brilliant. There's no pressure. Just get out there.
So Wigan done that.
Go and have a crack.
So Wigan,
remember, if they
go and have a crack.
Wigan in the FA Cup done that. Okay, they were City went down to 10 men, and City should have got something out of the game. They battered Wigan in the second half, but Wilgrave got the goal. They won. Yeah, which was amazing result. But my point is, Matthew, and it may come down to finances. So the fans will say, as Freddie's alluded to, we would rather see our team winning in the Championship rather than struggling, playing boring, dull football to survive in the Premier League. I think now the Premier League is split. 6 teams who can win stuff, 14 sides who are surviving in the Premier League. Because if you look at Everton, spent 200 million, and you would say, have they gone backwards?
200 million?
Yeah,
Have
have gone backwards. So Everton could go down. They won't, but they could. So I think now, the Premier League, the top 6, entertain, but that entertainment is trying to break the other 14 teams down. And even when they play against each other, you would argue Chelsea at the weekend against City.
Yep.
So if I'm in one of those other 14 teams as a professional player, so I'm playing for one of those 14, my contract might have in it, if you get relegated, it's halved. Just say, I don't know, it might be halved. If I'm playing for Southampton, if I sign a contract, you're on 50 grand a week.
I remember I used to train at Blackburn just after you left, and there was in a relegation battle, and they were panicking so much because they never thought they'd get relegated, and in the players' contracts, they never had that.
Never had it.
You still get.
They would have been on the same money.
So I would suggest now, I'm speaking from personal experience. In your contract, you sign for 50. I'm just putting a random number, 50 grand a week. If you get relegated, contract gets halved until you go back up. So if I'm playing for one of those 14 sides in the Premier League and I'm hearing fans saying it's dull, it's boring, as a player, I'm thinking, I don't care if I'm boring you. I'm trying to stay in the Premier League because on a selfish note, I would rather be playing the top flight football, rather than playing the Championship half the money. So I'd rather be dull and boring.
All right. What is the point of sport if it's not entertaining? What is the point of it?
That's a great question,
Fred. I would say to that the point of sport is about going out there and doing everything you can to win. But I think beauty emerges from the clash of competing wills. Two teams or two individuals that are set up trying to win the match, but the beauty emerges as a consequence of that. And if you have people going in just to try and get points for artistic impression, that isn't sport anymore. You would never have gone out there without, in the forefront of your mind, we need to win. If you were in a match and you needed to block out in order to get to the end, you wouldn't have going out there all
I did it a couple of times. I just got fed up. I got really bored.
So when England playing a test match, so if you'd have been the Ashes, just say...
I've dug in a few times, but I got
Exactly.
bored.
I've seen you dug in.
Every now and then I'd have a big shot.
Okay, when
Just to amuse myself, never mind the crowd.
when test
It's hard enough. It's hard enough concentrating for 5 days.
So in a test match...
If it's boring, what's the point?
In a test match then,
Yeah.
you've got the Barmy Army, you've got the last day of the test.
Oh, when they're singing, I'm going to play a few shots.
England need 300 to win, just say, and they've got 8 wickets left on the last day. There's no way in the world a side would go for that 300. Yeah.
Shut up.
They wouldn't.
Shut up. I've done it.
Okay, not
There's
many.
no way on earth.
Not many
300?
sides.
Is that it?
On the last day.
300? I'm having a right
8 wickets left.
And when the Barmy Army start chanting, I'm playing shots. Don't worry about that.
Even if you
I got out at Old Trafford in a test match in 2005. I got 40 odd. Shane Warne's bowling round the wicket into the rough, it's spinning square. And I got out, caught mid on, trying to hit him for 6.
Well, you're stupid then. You're very stupid then.
No, they enjoyed it. I enjoyed it.
But you lost the game,
I could have batted for 4 hours and got 20. I was in for about 50 minutes and got 42. Yeah. I'm happy.
You're happy, but your team would lose.
We got in a winning position.
But you lost.
No, we didn't lose. We won.
You won.
We won the series.
Oh, okay. But I'm sure in general,
I look at some of these. No, but I look at some of these names here. Right, you're saying Jeffrey Boycott, right? If he was playing in my garden, I'd shut my curtains. I would not watch him. What is the point?
Maybe Fred's right. Maybe there are certain sports people who do embrace the aesthetics, who want to look good, who want to entertain, and even if it might you would still.
At no point did I look good. I wasn't that type of player. I wasn't like a graceful bowler. I wasn't a beautiful. But I'll be honest with you, I get a buzz out of taking a wicket. Right? I get a buzz out of taking a wicket. The crowd go up. Yeah. If there's a crowd, the crowd go up and you milk it. When you're batting, you hit a fast bowler over his head for 6, or he drops short, and he's got a man back for the catch. Yeah. That's a challenge, that is. I want to go over his head. I get a kick out of that. The crowd get a kick out of it.
So in snooker,
Robbie, did just on that psychology, that's really interesting. Did you ever go onto the pitch thinking, I want to hit a pass that is going to entertain the crowd, or anything of that kind? The only reason I'm laughing is because you're smiling. Fred didn't hear. That's why.
What was that?
I said, did he ever go on the pitch thinking, I want to hit an amazing pass that's going to really entertain the crowd?
No, you got to play to your limits.
Why are you setting them up for?
No, I do well.
Why are you setting up?
Oh, don't go red, Rob. We're joking.
I heard you the first time. Why did you have to wait for him to get ready? He was miles away.
I know they used to call you the Wrexham Beckenbauer.
You're waiting for him. I heard you first time, Matthew. You never repeat yourself. But that's instinctive, isn't it? If you see a pass, you hit it. You hit it. That's instinctive. I didn't go on the pitch thinking I'm going to hit what Hollywood pass they'd call it, because that was instinctive. But
For you,
Would you not get a kick out of
was
it?
the only thing at the forefront of your mind.
Forefront of my mind was when I said I disagree before. Of course, I wanted to win. Of course, I wanted to win every single game I played in the Premier League. Of course, I did. But finances of the team, which would cost probably, the situation of where you are in the league, the situation of tactics, who you're playing against, surely. So I'm saying the likes of the 14 teams in the Premier League, surely you have to think, right, there's better teams than us. Of course, we want to go and win this game. 3 points, come off the pitch, it'll be amazing. Like Brighton did against Arsenal. Amazing feeling, winning against the Big Six. But surely, positions in the league, points of the season will dictate if you are boring and...
I can't get.
Do you think, as a football player,
I can't get my head round going into a game thinking I can't win?
Do you?
I can't get my head round it. I can't get my head round going into a game.
But what they're
thinking,
going, they're not thinking that,
I'm
Fred.
sitting back here.
You're Huddersfield.
What they're thinking?
You're Huddersfield now. You're Huddersfield, right?
What?
You're Huddersfield playing away at Manchester City.
Brilliant.
Do you
playing
really?
At the Etihad, full house against the best in the world. Imagine how you'll feel, right? You're from Huddersfield. I couldn't name you an Huddersfield player. I know one of them's moved to Presbury, the captain, hasn't he?
I think he has. Yeah.
But I don't know his name. But I cannot. I just think, you know what? I'm coming here now. This is like 2005. I'll allude to that. You turn up, you look at their team, you see Kevin De Bruyne, you see Aguero's, and you see all these lads. You think, you know what? I'm playing for Huddersfield here. I'm from Huddersfield. I can beat these lads. I can beat these fellas. 2005 Ashes. You line the two sides up. You line Australia, the best ever Australian team that's ever been. And then you look at our side and you think, well, these lads are all right. And then you think, well, hang on a minute. I've got the chance to beat these.
Of course,
All sense and sensibility. All sense and sensibility says, no, we can't do it. We can't do it.
Yeah.
They're better than us. They beat everyone. They've got some of the world's greatest ever players. We've got a few rubbing rags. One from Preston, a couple of Yorkies, and a lad from Somerset.
But if you're from Huddersfield and you think to yourself, the best probability of beating this side is to be tight, to close down the spaces.
Go the other way. No, be expansive.
Well,
express yourself. Have no fear of
Liverpool,
it. Get out there.
What if you're leaving gaps?
Get out there, go and
then
kick
exploit?
someone. Go and have a go. Get into
Okay,
him.
let me give you another example. Say you're Sugar Ray Leonard and you're about to go into the ring. You're into boxing with
Mayweather.
Hang on. Sugar Ray Leonard or Mayweather. You're going into the ring with Roberto Duran. Sugar Ray Leonard, an incredibly fleet of foot defensive maestro. Roberto Duran on the front foot, incredibly strong fists, hands of stone. And you think the best way to win is to be defensive and to pick him off with the jab. You would do that. And do you know,
Correct.
Sugar Ray Leonard went in all guns blazing in the first fight and lost. Then he went onto the back foot. He danced. He counter-attacked in the way that Huddersfield need to do against Manchester City. There's nothing wrong with that.
I don't understand your point, though, Matthew.
I do.
Because you're looking at me, talking about it. I can see your face lighting up, thinking about Sugar Ray Leonard dancing. We're not saying he's boring. You're just saying he's danced around, he's done this and that. We're talking about
Mayweather.
being boring.
Mayweather
Yeah, he was, wasn't he? Against
Mayweather
Pacquiao.
is a boring fighter.
Yeah.
I would not pay to watch Mayweather. I think he's build up and he's hype. He talks a fight up and gets people to buy into it. The actual fight is boring. You watch the fight against Manny Pacquiao. It was a dull fight. Conor McGregor, absolute joke. So I'm not even going to go on about that. Then you look at Lennox Lewis. Lennox Lewis hasn't got the credit he deserves as a fighter. Lennox Lewis was unbelievable. The man is the greatest boxer I reckon we've ever produced.
So as a football fan,
But hang on,
Preston, right?
Robbie, can't ask
No,
you
but
what- I'm with you. I'm
Lennox
with you.
Lewis
I
is
think-
like a chess player. He'll never get the credit.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to be like that.
So
And I
Preston North
bet
End.
as a chess player, you went for the audacious opening because you
did
like
I?
that,
Yeah,
right?
just
So
go
fair,
right
okay.
out for
Preston.
leather.
Robbie,
Preston.
I want to ask you this really big question because
Scrabble, you should see some words I come up with.
When Fred
Alpha leather.
I think it's really interesting that Fred is a mentally he's a winner, and yet he's also
We all
thinking
are,
about
though.
entertainment. But
all
Do you know,
Yeah,
Zor
hang
is
on.
a word. Z-O is a word.
does that count?
Yeah, and Quinn without a Q. Q-I-N. I'm learning loads at
Without
Scrabble.
you, wow.
Sorry, lads. Carry on.
Roberto, did you ever play for a team, or did you have players in the team who you felt wanted to entertain almost more than they wanted to win? Like in the way that Fred was prepared to go for that shot in order to entertain the Barney Army?
I think it's a mindset. I think it's different characters. I play
Who would you
with
pick
some,
out?
Well, Christoph Dugarry won the World Cup, and when he came to Birmingham, brilliant. You know, I'm sure the way he was brought up, the way he played with better players, he wanted to entertain. Of course he did, and I think that he relied on people like myself, to the water carriers, as you suggest, to make him being able to flourish. Craig Bellamy, Rocky Santa Cruz at Blackburn played with better players in their time. He played for Liverpool, Man City. Obviously, need people like me to let them flourish, and I think that's fine.
Distracting from the argument. You're not saying you're boring. You're saying you set them lads up.
As a football,
not boring. That's not boring.
But as a football on the pitch now, if I'm in, so I am in the relegation battle now. Do you think that I'm going onto the football pitch here and thinking, right, I've got to entertain my fans here? If I stay in the Premier League, that's my concern. The club, the manager, the chairman, my teammates, I don't care if they're bored. I do not care if they are bored on every Saturday afternoon. If we win 1-0 or 0-0, we get 40 points or 38 points. I do not care if they're bored.
But if you're bottom at league, you need to do something else. You can't just play everyone out. If you're bottom at league...
But the point is, Fred, fans are saying, I would rather go down and be entertained than stay in the Premier League. I can't get my head around it.
Well, I get hammered for making a sort of
no, of course you won't.
Philosophical.
No.
You know, I think beauty often has an underlying reason for why we find it beautiful. So if you look at other human beings, why do we find certain people beautiful and others not beautiful? One of the major reasons is because...
in the eye of the beholder.
It's in the eye of the beholder, but we tend to find similar people beautiful. And the reason is we find symmetrical faces beautiful because that indicates something about the ability to ward off disease. It shows that you have a strong immune system. So in reproductive terms, beauty...
We're talking about football, I
was going to come on to that, which is what I'm trying to point out is like the beauty of a peacock's tail. The reason is if a peacock can sustain such a bright and extraordinary appendage, it shows that they've got an incredibly strong biological... an incredibly strong body. What's the most beautiful animal moving?
Ian Dowie. How the hell did he play football? How the hell? It looks like he's had his face wrapped in cling film, right? And he's playing football. He's no peacock. He's to be honest with you,
great lad, clever.
He always comes in with that.
I love Ian Dowie,
lad.
He's a great fella, but by what you're saying is that means you've got a good it's got a good system to warn off disease. Ian Dowie should be dead. Heck. Come on, let's have some more of these. Come on, carry on.
Ian, let me just say, Ian Dowie's a great guy.
He's gone.
So, Matthew, what's your point?
He's died of a common cold.
A cheetah.
Take a cheetah for a second, okay? Yeah. It's elegant. The way it moves, it's lithe. The reason that it's beautiful is because it's so aerodynamically efficient. The body is set up to move incredibly fast. The way it leaps, the way it runs. And that's true of Michael Phelps. He's an amazing swimmer. He's not thrashing around like someone at the local pool.
That's technique, though.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It's hydrodynamically efficient.
What's this got to do with football?
Well, what I was coming on to...
I've never seen an entertaining swimmer.
I've never seen a swimmer play football.
I've never seen anyone swim entertaining. Yeah. Rowing, I don't care. We're digressing.
You've lost me,
No, okay, so I'm coming on to it. Take the two arguably greatest football teams of all time, Barcelona under Guardiola and the Brazil team that won the 1970 World Cup. Yeah. What did they do? They were geometrically efficient. The way they exploited time and space on the pitch in order to take the ball from one player through the teammates all the way to the other end, and the way Carlos Alberto scored. The reason we find it beautiful, it's not subjective, it's because it's efficient. Beauty.
It wasn't efficient. Not the Brazil team. I watched a documentary on this. They played a style of football which nobody wanted them to play. They decided, you know what, we're going to go out. What did you call it? Jenga or something? That's the game.
Calypso football.
Well, whatever it was, they played eye-catching, entertaining football.
Winning football.
They won the World Cup in 1970.
Yeah, because they're the best players as well.
But that for me, that is the balance between winning and entertaining.
They're the best players, though, Fred.
Perfectly.
Well, that's what the point.
They're the best players.
Yeah, well, they had great... Well, take Guardiola. Do you agree that with the players that he inherited and the players that he's bought, he has taken them to a different level? And it's part of the explanation. It's part of the explanation for that. The tactical.
He has spent a lot of money.
I agree, But do you agree part of the explanation is tactical innovation?
Let me ask you a
the way
question
that his
then,
players
okay?
exploit time
Let me
and
ask you a
space.
question then.
Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I do. 100%.
Okay. Is it beautiful?
Yes.
And
Great to watch.
Right. And is it beautiful
amazing.
for partly the same reason that Federer's beautiful in the way he strikes a tennis ball? He's more beautiful than watching someone at the local park because it's so efficient.
Varinka's got the best backhand. Varinka's backhand's beautiful.
I totally agree. It is.
It is.
It is a lovely shot.
Yeah,
it's
the
beautiful.
Varinka's backhand.
It is beautiful.
But what I'm saying is then, so would you're given the tools to work with. So if Pep Guardiola was, and I think he's the best, by the way, now I've been totally won over by him. I think he is amazing. Unbelievable what he's done with that Man City side. But he has managed Barcelona, the best team, Bayern Munich, the best team in Germany, and now Man City, and he has improved them beyond ridiculousness and made them the best.
Can I ask a question? Where did he start?
He was a Barcelona B, wasn't he?
What was his first
He was a player.
job?
He was a good player. No, I think Barcelona B,
youth team.
Yeah. And then he got the chance, and brilliant, and he is amazing. And let's get that right. But if he was in charge of Southampton now,
Be a better team.
with the players,
Be a better team.
but would he play in the same way as would Man City?
No.
Exactly. He would be defend. He would say,
the reason that
Would he, though?
if he was playing against,
I don't know.
Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? But my point is, to finish this debate, it's a great debate, isn't it? I'm sure people will join in on hashtag Fred Sam Syed. And a lot of fans will say, we want to be entertained. We pay 50 quid, and it's a lot of money to go to football matches, and the fans are so important. Yeah. And they have got their right, they support their football club up and down the country, and I get it. But I can't get my head around when people wanted, as we started this debate with Claude Puel, Southampton had 46 points when they finished 8th. The least points they had probably. That was the least number of points probably ever to finish 8th in the Premier League table. Yeah. They got to the League Cup final, nearly won it, up against Manchester United. Yet, he lost his job because the team, according to some people, were dull and boring. I can't get my head around that. Surely, Southampton Football Club
with you.
should survival now in how competitive, how much money there is in the Premier League. Finishing in the Premier League is a good season. And as a player, I'm talking from a player's perspective, I do not care about entertaining those fans who have paid their good money as long as I'm playing Premier League football.
But you put it back onto my sport, cricket, and cricket it's a struggle. It's a struggle to get people watching. Like probably if you go down the leagues in football.
Yeah.
So you've got a 4-day game at Old Trafford. 100 people come and watch because it's boring.
Yeah.
You get a T20 game, you get 10,000.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
So for me, if sport isn't entertaining, there is no point to it.
But it can be entertaining at times when you're in the right situation.
Be entertaining the bulk of the time. That's what I think. I think the bulk of the time it's got to be entertaining. I understand. And I know I've had a laugh about it. There's times when you need to dig in and you need to grind the result out or try and win ugly or try and get a draw or something. I've done it.
Are you entertained watching England football, the England national football team? Do they entertain you?
I think they're often very nervous, aren't they, in knockout competitions? And I don't think they're fluent in the way they need to be in order to unlock their
So would you rather... Let me ask you as an England fan. Yep. You're England fans, football. Would you take now, if England Portugal won the Euros... Yeah, with Ronaldo, and they were probably the most boring team to watch in that competition. Yet history will go down and say Portugal won the Euros. They beat Wales in the semi-final, and they won the Euros.
Sour about that?
No, but they were boring to watch, but they won the European Championship.
All right, I'll give you another.
England, if England go into this World Cup, you're turning the telly on, 0-0, 1-0, 0-0, 1-0, 1-0, win on penalties.
I should have watched Dion Dublin, Homes Under Hammer.
And they won the World Cup.
And that is saying something.
Would you take that?
I'll take it. I'd rather.
There you go. Then. So you want to be entertained? You said a minute ago.
2-2 down.
But you want to be entertained.
Yeah, but all right then. All right, I'll give you another analogy.
Yeah.
All right, snooker in the 80s. Snooker in the 80s.
Cliff Thorburn,
rock and
Terry
roll.
Griffiths,
Jimmy White, Kurt Stevens, Alex Higgins. The Nugget Steve Davis was
Cliff Thorburn, Kurt Stevens.
He played a part. So all of a sudden,
they were boring.
They sang songs and all sorts. Snooker loopy. So in the 80s, snooker was flying. Dennis Taylor won the World Championships against Steve Davis in front of just under 20 million viewers because the players were entertaining.
They weren't, though.
They were entertaining.
Doug Mountjoy.
No, listen.
I am listening.
They give you something. They give you something on and off. There were characters. Now look at snooker. It's struggling because it's boring. It's gone the other way.
Well, they've done 20 pints in the corner.
Well, whatever it may be. Snooker's dying because it's not as exciting. That's could happen
But
to cricket.
but weirdly, the players are more attacking now than they were when it was Doug Mountjoy,
Terry Griffiths,
Cliff Thorburn,
There was some boring.
Ray Reardon,
Eddie
Steady Eddie Charlton.
Yeah, but there was always a yin and yang.
Yeah, that's true. But that's
There was
what I was
always a yin and yang.
That's
But it
one
is
thing that they
now.
get in football. I think that anyway. Look, that is a massive, brilliant topic, Rob.
I know.
Unbelievable.
Another one I come up with.
Yeah, well, first time in ages.
Just didn't add up to it.
So can I just say then, to finish it off, one line for us all. So, sport, obviously, we all would say winning and entertaining is the best combination, which City have perfectly at the minute. But for you, and for you, Fred, is sport all about entertainment or winning?
It's the entertainment industry. I don't understand why you can't do the both.
Yeah,
I don't
I
understand
go
that.
along with that. I think that entertainment emerges.
I disagree.
from
I think
people
needs must
from
at times.
people striving to win. Although there are occasions when you have athletes who are prepared to embrace that sort of aesthetic ideal, who are amazing to watch. So you might want to talk about Ballesteros. He wasn't necessarily as good as Faldo, but he did something to people's emotions in the shots that he imagined, the kind of the chips that he conjured up. And I think that is part of sport too. Topic number 2. After the recent death of Sir Roger Bannister, the first man to run a mile in under 4 minutes, I want to talk about breaking barriers in sport. What were the barriers in our own sports, the breakthroughs that inspired us, and how does it change the psychology of sport when you see somebody doing something that has never been done before? So this is my topic. I think that after Bannister broke the 4-minute mile, people said it was impossible, couldn't be done. It was considered to be one step too far for world athletics. But when he broke the barrier, I think it took 30-odd days for the next person to break that barrier.
Yeah, it was a month, just over a month.
Yeah, John Landy was the next person to do it. And I think these barriers can have a big psychological significance. So take Bjorn Borg, right? 1984, a decade after he won his first French Open title, Sweden, population of 8.3 million, had 5 players in the world's top 20. Wilander, Stefan Edberg, Joachim Nystrom. You know what I mean? They saw what he did. They saw the barriers that he was breaking and they thought, you know what, I can do that too. One other quick example. 1998, Pak Seo-ri, a 20-year-old golfer from South Korea, won the LPGA, the first South Korean female golfer.
This is about page 8 of Google, this, surely. Barriers. I'm sure there's plenty more barriers you could have come up with. Go on, carry on.
Within a decade, but this is the amazing thing, within a decade, the number of South Korean women in the LPGA Tour had rocketed from 1 to 33, one of the biggest changes ever. And I think that these barriers can have massive significance, partly because of social comparison, but also because you learn from the habits of these people. What have they been doing differently? What have they innovated in order to do what they did? And I was inspired, I'll come on to it in a bit, I don't want to bore people, with Jan Ove Waldner, table tennis player in the 1980s, an incredible innovator. But if you had to take cricket and
Why
football...
was he an innovator?
You know the hidden serve?
Yeah, but it's illegal, isn't it?
It's illegal now. But he came up with this ability to hit the ball from behind his free arm, so it was completely disguised. The chop block, he's the one who innovated on that. The wiggly.
Wiggly?
So if the ball drops under...
You're on radio, Matthew. Actions are no good.
So if you're playing against somebody and you're away from the table and they do a drop shot and the ball is under the height of the table so they can't see how it struck your bat, the wiggly is where you hit the ball and then make an action with the hand after you've hit it so that the player on the other side doesn't know which kind of side spin's on the ball.
Oh, right,
and he came up with that too. He came up with the chop loop. Just an amazing innovator. And when I watched him the first time at the Polish Open in the 1980s, it opened my eyes to what table tennis could be, and it totally changed the way I trained. It changed
The wiggly, open your eyes to a whole new world.
Yeah, and so Bannister, just one last thing on Bannister. I interviewed him in 2012.
What was he like?
Unbelievable. We kept a correspondence going. We spoke on the phone regularly.
How old was he?
He was in his 80s,
Right.
and he's got a form of dementia towards the end, Parkinson's disease towards the end. But you know, the first time I went in to meet him, I came armed with these questions to ask this icon of British sport. And I sat down at a table in his front room. He's got this flat in Oxford with his wonderful wife, Moira.
Really, Moira?
Yeah, really. Yeah,
Well,
believe
how'd
it or
you say
not.
that, Rob?
Yeah.
How'd you say it? Moira?
Moira.
Why?
Did you make that up just for that?
No.
Robbie.
And Bannister,
You're not meeting her.
he picked up this sheaf of papers. And he said, said, before you interview me, he said, I heard you'd written a book. So I thought I wanted to get to know a bit about you before you came along. I find it a bit egotistical to constantly talk about my achievements. So I've taken some notes and I wondered if we could talk about it.
Wow, really?
That's the humility,
Wow.
honour of this guy. Just an amazing...
You didn't take it on board, though, did you, Matthew?
So cricket, football, big breakthrough.
Go for Andrew first.
Do you know what? Cricket, I reckon, out of all the sports in the past 10 years, is the sport that's moved on the most.
Really?
I really think it has. You look at, from bowling techniques, you look at, I think, Matthias Muralitharan, while we want to bowl in the Doosera.
Who?
Yep.
He bowls off spinners, spinning it both ways, which was unheard of. You look at batting, you look at the shots which have come in.
Yep.
Switch hits, scoop
Wow.
shots. Batters now... And everyone says that the
Is
bats...
that because of the 2020 game?
2020's come in and just accelerated it all. But I also think, do you know, it's probably similar to what you were talking about with table tennis. You know, when you see one person do something, and he's the trailblazer, he's the innovator, and everybody watches it and thinks, you know what, I could probably do that. And it just takes one moment, one person, like Roger Bannister, the fella then a few weeks later breaking his record.
Did anyone, when you were in your teens, do something in cricket and you thought, you know what, wow, I want to be like both of them maybe?
I both of them, big fan of both of them. Used to watch the way in which he played. I never tried, I'd be honest with you, I never tried to copy him.
Didn't you?
No, I never, because my game was completely different. But what I did like about him was that gun-ho attitude.
Swagger.
That swag, that if you're going to play, going back to the last subjects, if you're going to play, if you're going to go out there and do it, make it worth watching.
But the thing about an
And enjoy
all-rounder is it's very difficult to master more than one skill, given the amount of time you need to clock up. Did you think,
I don't think as an all-rounder, I don't think you master either skill. I really
you have
don't.
to be world-class as a bowler and batsman.
Yeah, but what I found is that there's very few occasions when my batting and bowling were at its peak. It was always one or the other was better at one time, and that used to really frustrate me, especially if it was the bowling. And towards the end of my career, it was because I regarded myself as a batter. Bowling was a bit of a laugh, so I used to get frustrated at that. But cricket, you look at the game now, and all the old fuddy-duddies and the players from yesteryear, and we touched on this before. I watched something on YouTube the other day where Rob Key sent it me, so I'm going to throw him under the bus. He listened to the podcast, and we're talking about speeds of sport. And it's quite apt, actually, talking about Roger Bannister, all about speed.
Yep.
And they all still think in the 70s and 80s they bowled quicker. There's something on YouTube now, the world's fastest bowler competition. Nobody bowled 90 mile an hour.
Wow.
And then now there's an abundance of bowlers who can do it.
Yep.
You can see batters now. They all say the reason they hit the ball further is because the bats are bigger. No, it is not. It's because there's more intent. The techniques change. The players are stronger. Cricket has moved on so much. But I reckon the biggest innovation to cricket in the next few years will be the women's game.
Yeah.
Because I think the women's game has improved over the past few years because it's become more professional. But I watch it at times and think, oh my word. Some of the basics are not there. Some of the basic errors. And I think in the next 5 to 10 years, I think the women's game will become stronger and stronger. And on that as well, I watched at Old Trafford a few years ago, and I watched someone batting in the nets, and it was a 13-year-old. And I thought it was a boy with a ponytail. And then she took her helmet off. It was a girl.
Yeah.
And I think, hang on, you're better than the boys. What happens now to you? Why from a 13-year-old who's competing with the boys, I get it with a ball, you can't bowl as fast and strength, but as a batsman with technique, why are you then held back?
Yeah.
Because let's be honest, the women's game is not as good as the men's, and that's not even in dispute. Why are you held back? I honestly believe if I had a boy and a girl who are 8 and 9 years of age as a batsman with an equal ability, brought up in the same way, there's no reason a girl cannot bat and play top-class men's cricket. I think the best women in the world at cricket, there's a couple of Aussies, are a victim of being girls.
Well, that would be a massive breakthrough. I mean,
Well,
a social breakthrough.
I think that's the biggest, because it's not a contact sport.
Yeah.
Strength, we see the likes of some of the world's best batters are small. You don't have to be big. You've got to have technique. You've got to have a bit of strength.
Timing.
Yeah. So I think that is the next step towards cricket. I'm not saying I can do it, but I'm confident if I worked with a girl and a boy of equal ability as batsmen, there's no reason a girl can't.
That's interesting, isn't it? What about you when it comes to football?
Well, I was growing up in Wrexham. Obviously, not many people from Wrexham went on to play in the top leagues. Obviously, the two people that did well, Ian Rush was from Flint.
Yep.
And Mark Hughes. I know I keep talking about Mark Hughes. He was from Ruaben.
Yeah.
Well, my father grew up in Rose Clanagruagog, which is near Wrexham. That's how you pronounce it.
To be honest with you, I don't believe you.
He did.
We found out already.
Which was
the same Moira.
Which is near Wrexham. And then you used to get the local paper.
Is that not a song?
The Wrexham leader, and he'd always see Mark Hughes. And I always thought that, wow, he can do it. He's from 3 miles up the road from me.
Yeah.
I know he's played at Manchester United, and I love football. And I'd look at Wrexham, the local side, the racecourse ground, thinking, wow, wouldn't it be amazing one day to Joey Jones, Mickey Thomas, they were my side, looking at those players. And maybe that was a more realistic dream for me, playing in League One, League Two, because it was, again, 2 miles from my house. But I wanted to inspire to be like Mark Hughes. Why couldn't he done it from 3 miles away? Why couldn't I do it? I know playing for Manchester United, which I didn't get to do because I wasn't good enough, but he inspired me. And I'd stand on the cop when he scored the goal that always springs to mind, as you might not remember it. Wales against Spain, 3-0 at the racecourse. I'm on the cop. It's a scissor kick, a side scissor kick from the edge of the box, hit the top of the crossbar and come down. I'm on the cop as a youngster, looking at this guy who was playing for his country, playing for Manchester United 3 miles away and thinking, wow, if he can do it, he went to a school like me. He was like me, obviously bigger built and probably much more talent, but thinking, he inspired me to think, wow, a guy who lives 3 miles away has been able to do it. He's been spotted. It's all about getting spotted. The same scout spotted the both of us,
really?
Hugh Roberts, who sadly passed away. So he spotted the both of us. So the dream was there, following it. And then when he took me home in his car from training one day, when I was a youngster schoolboy, incredible. You imagine that. So when I've got people say, well, you're his mate, he's not just my friend and manager, he was my hero. He was one I aspired to be like, because he showed me that the dream was possible, that a guy who went to a normal school, from a guy who wasn't from a wealthy family, from a guy who, do you know what I mean, followed his dream and done it. So why couldn't I do it? And so
Did you ever score that scissor kick?
No, I'd come close once playing for Leicester against Derby. But, you imagine that. So when I tend to stick up for him a little bit. but is it nice that you...
Serious question.
Somebody from your area. So you imagine somebody... Did you follow anybody
not so
near
much
you?
I remember...
But both of them would be miles away from you. Anybody around when you were at school, and you from your area, you're thinking, wow, he can do, I can.
Do you know, there's two sides of that for me. I remember when I was 13 years of age, I was playing for Lancashire under-13s at Delphin Dobcross.
At what?
Delphin Dobcross. It's a cricket ground near Oldham or Rochdale. And I'm on the way home in my dad's Cortina, and we're listening to the radio.
That's my dad's one. Brown. UTU 525R. Brown seats.
But we're coming home, and we got the radio on. The cricket is a test match at Old Trafford, and Sachin Tendulkar was playing. 16 years of age. I'm 13. I'm playing Lancashire under-13s. I'm only 3 years younger. And that had two sides to it. I'm thinking, well, if he can do it, I can. And I think, well, I can't. I'm 13. He's 16. I've not got a chance. So that, and then the other one who sticks out was Darren Gough.
Goffey?
I love Goffey.
Is he older than you?
Yeah, he's like, do you mind? And he's heavier.
Goffey? Yeah.
Goffey, I remember, cricket is different because it was traditionally a posh kids game, public schools. This is how you get into it. And I remember Goffey was playing on TV, and he was bowling these in-swinging Yorkers, and he's bowling everyone out for Yorkshire. And although he's from Yorkshire, I was watching him thinking, this looks brilliant. And then they interviewed him after, and I thought, I'm cleverer than him as well. Because he started speaking, and you think, actually, this can be done. It's fine, I'm from Preston. I went to school on an estate. I'm listening to Darren Gough, who's come from this. Yeah, why can I, like you said before about Mark Hughes, from Preston, it doesn't happen, but why can it not do? And you remember people like Goffey.
It's interesting.
I've got this. So that was in the first part of my career. And then, when I got released by Manchester United, my then aspiration was to be like David Platt. David Platt got
Really?
released from Manchester United.
You sure?
Really?
Yeah, because
You've not met him then?
well, we're friends now.
I know, yeah, I'm joking. We know him. We know him.
But you then thinking, right? I've been released by.
He got a round head, hasn't he?
I'm talking about David Platt, the football, not correlations.
No, David Platt, the football. He's
It is Ralph.
he's got a
It
head
is
like a
Ralph.
mitre delta.
So Platty. So you always look at parts of your career where people. So he was at Manchester United, got released, went to Crewe, and from Crewe, rebuilt his career, and went on to Aston Villa. So when I'm a Crewe in the A team, struggling, I'm thinking, wow, this can be done. I've got rejected, not good enough to play for one of the biggest clubs in the world because I wasn't good enough. I got a Crewe to try and rebuild my career, and it's been done. So it wasn't me going somewhere and thinking.
But what happened? What happened?
can't-
What happened at Crewe to do that? What happened?
Well,
You come away from United.
yeah,
I'd imagine that your dreams would have been broken a bit.
dreams broken, shattered.
But you go back to Crewe,
Go back to Crewe, yeah.
and then you have an amazing career. But what happened? What happened at Crewe?
It was.
Because there were kids out there.
Yeah, there was
There were
two.
people out
There was
there
two
that
ways
have
it could have
been
gone.
rejected, yeah.
So there was two ways it could have gone. You've had rejection, and a lot of people might have given up. Fact.
That's not you.
I went to Crewe and played in the A team under Neil Baker, who's a testimonial this year. He's no longer. I think he's league manager now, but he was my manager in the A team. I couldn't get in the first team. I was weak. I was skinny. I was 8.5 stone. You know, but in my head, I'm thinking this can be done because people have moved down and achieved greatness in what they've done, gone on to do. So I could have chosen to go into the pub. I could have chosen different pathways, giving up. But I just thought, do you know what? It was Bobby Gould, actually. Bobby Gould, who I owe a lot to in my career because I was a centre forward and I wasn't good enough to be a centre forward. And when I went to Crewe, even Dario Gradi still see me as a centre forward. And it was Bobby Gould, Wales under 21s. He said, I can see you as a midfield player. He put me in midfield. And I believe if I'd have continued as a centre forward, I wouldn't be sitting here now. As me, having a fantastic career in football, made the most of what I had. Because he's seen something in me to think, yeah, he can play in midfield, the energy. And this is where, you know, when you say you fulfilled your potential and you got the most
Yeah,
of what
you
you got.
did.
I did. But that slight part of me thinks, when I see Nicky Butt, who went on to play for Manchester numerous times, Phil Neville, you know, Paul Scholes, for me, is different, one of the best, greatest players ever. I was never a Paul Scholes. But because I had energy and because I could run and because I was brought up in that class of 92, the only slight ever doubt in my mind, if I'd have been a midfield player and learned how to be a midfield player at United, what if? That's the only thing. And it was Bobby Gould, under 21s, that put me in that position. And I had to learn that position again, if you know what I mean. So I learned to be a centre forward from 14 to 19. Yeah. And then from 20 to the rest of my career, I played as a midfield player. But it was Bobby Gould who phoned Dario and said, I played in midfield today. He was brilliant. So Dario put me in midfield, and I never looked back.
But what you say, Bobby Gould?
Yeah.
Well done, Bob. But what is it with? But what was it in you when you go back to Crewe?
Yeah.
You've been to United. You've seen all the trappings. You've seen.
Yeah.
And then you sat in the dressing room at Crewe, and I'm sure that there was some self doubt and there's all that.
Was.
But what was it that spurred you? What was it that was what was it in you that said, you know what, I can still do this?
Because where I come from, Wrexham, there was a lot of jealousy. There was a lot of when you get released by Manchester United, I think a lot of people would have been, told you so, yeah.
Well, people love
failure,
that sort of
jealousy,
stuff,
and and I just wanted to prove everybody wrong. And when you're at Manchester United and you turn up as a YTS apprentice and you see the first team, your kit's laid out, it's all there. You just put your boots getting clean for you. When you become a pro, but when you go to Crewe, you're taking your kit home. You have one kit, you're washing it, you're bringing it back next day.
I've been a cricketer, to be honest.
Yeah, and then you're thinking, wow, this is real football. I want to get back, not to people washing my kit for me, but I want to get back to where I seen those players, the signing autographs and being the adulation, and not the trappings of wealth. Right, it was never the trappings of wealth.
But
never.
You must have had that kernel of self-belief, that level of resilience. Gary Neville, I don't know where I saw it, maybe he tweeted it. He's got huge respect for you because he knew that how painful it was for you to get rejected from United and then to have that capacity to rebuild and to forge a career that was incredibly successful. I mean, I know what you mean when you say that you would like to have played in a treble-winning team or to have been part of United. And
of course I would have. And people think I'm a bitter reject now if I ever go to Manchester United today, which is completely and utterly nonsense. But, I count myself as one of the most successful Premier League players because I played Premier League football 346 times so you can't be rubbish.
And I think you've got exactly the same attitude in your career in the media. I mean, go back to what we were talking about at the beginning. You get knocked. You're trending on Twitter for getting the wrong pronunciation. And yet you come on here, you're open and honest about it. And I know that when you go on to your next commentary, you'll be there
because
fighting
and doing
your...
Sorry, Matthew, do you think as a person and as a player, you're at your most dangerous when you're at the bottom?
Doubting you.
Yeah, 100%.
I found that. But you're at the bottom and everyone's doubting you and everyone's saying you can't do this, can't do that. So when people are knocking you on Twitter
100%.
and then you're trending for calling Moira Stewart and getting the penalty wrong, I reckon
you're right.
Next week, I reckon you'll be your strongest game ever.
What I do, I take it on me and it irritates me and I want to get better. Like with this podcast, if we've, I look at the replies and if it's been not a great week for us, which is very rare, but I'm thinking, right, next week we've got to come back stronger. And it's the same if I'd write a column. That wasn't a great column, not many reviews. I need to be better next week. And this is what I do now, commentary. It's like I want to be better, 606, whatever. I want to be better and I want to prove people wrong every single week. And there's going to be idiots out there knocking, jealous people, but it's about being the best.
How much is that to prove people wrong and how much is for yourself?
Both, I think both. I like proving people wrong because when you think about it, Fred, there's no way in the world, really, I should be sitting where I am because of my playing. I know I'm not knocking myself, I'm just speaking honest. That for me to co-present the biggest phone in Britain, 606, it's me. For me to write a column in a paper, for me to do, other stuff, work BT Sport, why me? Because I wasn't a great player and my knowledge of football isn't great. I'm not eloquent. I get stuff wrong. I know what I'm saying, but why? I think I'm there because of the work ethic, the research, the likability, treating people exactly the same way. So I think that I see players who are better than me Who though? Who?
No, better than me. But you just said you played 346 whatever it times.
Well, I look at Thierry on. I look at pundits like Thierry Henry.
And then the reason you're doing 606, the reason you're doing this and that is because you're good at it.
But I don't understand how. I do.
I tell you,
because you're good.
Can I throw this in? You interact with lots of different people in television now and elsewhere, and I do too. And there's this idea of having a growth mindset, constantly trying to learn and get better at what you do.
I'm learning all the time.
Let me tell you, Robbie, you're one of the most incredible embodiments of a growth mindset.
Let's not talk about me.
No, hang on. Of anybody, we hammer you a lot. Of anybody that I've met, and that occurred to me after the first podcast. You're constantly looking to improve.
And
do you know what? That's why I think talent's overrated. I think that mindset of continuous improvement is such a powerful thing. And for a young person, that's why I love that.
That's a talent in itself, though, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's something I think you can develop.
That's why I play Scrabble.
Right, I bet you
for
got
me,
better
though,
at
Matthew,
it.
as well. I want to improve. I want to improve with my likability. I want to improve. I want Fred to be the best. And when he won that award, and we won the award, it was amazing night. Do you know what I mean? And when
we didn't come, Matthew, but I'll be honest with you.
But I think
awards I'm not asked about. I'm really not. But that night, we
nice?
went.
Yeah.
Because do you know why? Because I really enjoy doing this podcast. And I enjoy sitting around.
You wouldn't do it if you didn't, though.
And I wouldn't have gone to the awards, but I genuinely wanted to win it, which I don't like myself for. But I was actually really proud.
So it's like
not a new presenter bit because I'm 40. I've been around years. It was wrong.
So when you say now in this field, who do I look at? So you're saying about innovative. What's the word again?
Innovative.
That. So you're looking at the way analysis has been taken on. Yeah. Can I analyse a game like Rio Ferdinand, like Gary Neville? Yeah, I probably could. But because of my stature, I didn't win stuff. That opinion is less valid, I believe. And is that not a fair point?
I think probably...
Be honest.
Yeah, I think people who have achieved incredible things when they say something, people sit up and take notice.
And I get that. So
But I think you carry a lot of credibility because of your longevity.
So the reason now we're talking about going on to what we want to achieve later in life. Yeah, can we just do that quickly?
I'll tell you what,
Let's do it, mate.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to pick kids up from school in a minute. We're here all day.
Yeah, let's do it. That's such a good topic. We should do that next time. So, I mean, it's absolutely obvious that breakthroughs can have a big psychological impact. I think it's quite nice to think that what you've done, Fred, what you've done, Robbie, what I've done, perhaps to a lesser extent.
No, you've done great, Matthew.
But it will inspire people from our areas. You know, I went back to my old school, Maiden Early, state school, and gave a little talk. And it's an amazing thing to think that the people I looked up to and got energy from, there's probably some kids who feel that way about me. I mean, I don't want to exaggerate it, but that's quite a nice thought.
It's like now, so I get asked to do presentations back in Wrexham.
Yeah.
I remember as a youngster, under 12s, under 13s, you're waiting for your trophies, and behind the curtains, they'd have, right, tonight, Bradley, presents at my team, Bradley Youth. So under 12s, under 14s, Brickfield Rangers. You always had a football player as a star to present your trophies. Yeah. And I remember, like, so excited, who's it going to be? Is it going to be Wrexham player? Mark Hughes. And now I put myself in that position when I'm presenting the trophies, and I'm thinking, wow, that's happening. It can happen to people like me.
Yeah, wonderful. Fred?
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's weird now because...
Have you ever gone back to
my
your
school
old...
shut down? It was shocking.
It
shut down before it was a petrol bomb. But... Yeah, do you know the strange thing is now me? I go somewhere.
It must be.
No,
like,
wait, I mean, you go.
When you go Manchester Grammar and done that tour, you're talking at Manchester Grammar.
I went to Manchester Grammar, and this is a strange thing about it. I went to my boys go there, as do Rob's, and I don't know how they've let them in, but I got asked to go and give a talk by Mike Watkinson, coach. He's now a cricket master at Manchester Grammar. He was my captain. He was my coach at Lancashire. He helped my career so much. Even though we had this love-hate relationship because we used to wind him up a tree. But he helped me so much. Asked me to go and speak to the lads. And it was quite amazing, actually, because I remember when I went to Manchester Grammar as a 13-year-old boy, playing for Lancashire under-13s, and driving down that long drive towards
the school. Is it quite posh?
Yeah.
Oh,
mate, it was so daunting. And you see all these kids walking out in blazers and ties, which we never did. And then to think, I've gone in and spoke to 50 lads from that school. It was daunting as well, knowing that every kid you're speaking to is cleverer than you. But it was really bizarre, and they listened and the thing. But my problem is now is because of the stuff I've done after cricket, I'm not really known by a generation as a cricketer.
That's true.
It's like they've seen me do drag on a league of their own, and they've seen me do some dodgy TV programmes. And as much as I'm thankful of it, I would prefer to be known as a cricketer.
Oh, that's interesting. Guys, brilliant podcast. And thank you for listening. If you missed any of the shows we've done today, they're all available to download at the 5 Live website and all the usual podcast places. Please use the hashtag Fred, Sav, Syed to get in touch through the week. If you could leave a review on iTunes and give us a rating, that would be great. We'll try and read out some of the creative ones in a future podcast. We'll be back next week at the same time. But for now, from all of us, goodbye.
Oh, what was that?
Flintoff, Savage and the Ping Pong Guy.
Thank you for downloading the Flintoff, Savage and the Ping Pong Guy podcast. If you like what you hear, then why not have a look at what else 5 Live podcasts have to offer at bbc.co.uk/5 Live.